Buying a 12-cylinder Phaeton is an alluring idea, an idea that is best kept as just an idea. If you're unfamiliar with the Phaeton, it was a car developed by a company that dubbed itself the People's Car, better known as Volkswagen, with a new sticker price eclipsing $100,000 and an exterior profile that is nearly indistinguishable from a Passat. It was an instant sales failure. The car itself was far from terrible. Many journalists raved about the Phaeton experience, some even labeling it the best luxury sedan outside of a Rolls-Royce or Bentley, which makes a lot of sense because it was built on the same platform as a Bentley Continental. The materials were top-notch, and it had technology that rivaled the gold standard of luxury motoring, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a title which still holds true today. Mercedes' latest performance flagship, the AMG GT63S, represents all the best traits of the brand. Step into the cockpit where you'll be greeted by two massive infotainment screens that provide real-time track data, and there's another rear-mounted touchscreen to provide ultimate car control for its passengers. An experience like this comes at a price though. The AMG GT63S is around $200,000 new, but Omaze is giving you the opportunity to win one, plus $20,000 cash when you visit omaze.com/samcrackmercedes. Mercedes always does an incredible job blending muscle car-like sound and feel with supercar levels out of performance, especially here on the GT63S. It's capable of 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. The quarter mile goes by in just 11 seconds. This is all out of the box, and that exhaust note is unmistakably a bi-turbo AMG. And when it comes to sports sedans, the only thing better than an AMG is an AMG with $20,000 cash in the trunk that you win by visiting omaze.com/samcrackmercedes, or just click my link in the description box below. While you're on Omaze's site, you'll have the opportunity to donate to the ARC. They're an organization dedicated to providing and improving a support network for those incarcerated in the state of California. Of course, I want to give a huge thanks to Omaze for offering this opportunity to my audience, for partnering with great organizations, and for also sponsoring this video. Good luck! The Phaeton was produced in the United States only from 2004 to 2006. Less than 500 W12 cars were delivered here, which makes it incredibly rare. So when I saw the listing for this W12 Phaeton that looked like a super easy fix, I threw in a lowball bid and ended up winning it for right around $2,500. Not bad if all it needed was a front bumper, paint, and a few brackets. And realistically, that's all this car did need. Turns out it was religiously maintained by its previous owner at Volkswagen. I ordered transportation, and when the delivery driver had the car loaded on his trailer, he sent me these photos. Everything looked right except this. What is this? I never remember the quarter panel being severely smashed in. Yes.
Put your foot on the brake and see. Yeah, I sent you a picture of that message on the dash too.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let's try this again. There we go.
All right. Don't turn it off.
No. When I got these photos from the transport driver, I was shocked. I thought I had for sure made a mistake. And then you start to second guess yourself. Why would they total out such a really nice condition Phaeton just for a damaged front bumper? It had to be because of that quarter panel smash I totally didn't see in the photos. Well, of course, I went back. I reviewed the original auction listing, and there was no quarter panel damage in the photos that they displayed. So it was clear that quarter panel damage occurred at the salvage auction lot, and I'm super lucky that the transporter took photos of the Phaeton on his trailer at the pit at the salvage auction, because with those photos we were able to prove that he nor I caused any of this damage. Now, before the car was even delivered to me, I forwarded these photos to the auction and I let them know, hey, I bought this car and it's coming to me like this, and it wasn't displayed like this. And the first response that I got was, too bad, so sad. When you buy a car from us, it's as is, where is. We only provide you these photos for convenience purposes. Don't believe me, by the way. Here is their disclaimer on the website, written on every single auction lot. But just because you have some nice legalese shouldn't make your problem my problem. This clearly happened under the hands of Copart, and I've got to be fair, this problem was resolved in a very positive fashion, although with the volume of cars that I buy and with the small issues that I've run into, even though this is a nasty dent, I consider it a pretty small issue. I would say about 50% of my issues have been resolved. The other 50 pretty much go unresolved. It all depends who the management is of the auction you buy the car from. In this case, we had really good management that took care of our issue. Now, regular auto auctions, they have something called arbitration. That's where if this car shows up with a quarter panel smash and it was not as advertised, they'll actually tell the seller, hey, you didn't advertise this car properly. It's on you to take it back and foot all the bills involved, even the shipping to and from me back to the seller. In the case of the salvage auctions, again, it's been my experience, but they will fight you tooth and nail, and they don't want you to know that there is any recourse. And that's why I think this is very important for me to tell you. There is a little bit of recourse if you do things the right way. First of all, again, we had good evidence to show that this damage was done on the auction lot with the photos that were taken at the salvage auction. Number two, when you're debating and discussing an issue like the one we have here, the first action from a good salvage auction is always to say, hey, we'll just buy the car back from you, unwind the sale, and be like it never ever happened. The issue I had here is that I'm paying a transport driver hundreds of dollars to deliver the car to me. He's not going to just pull it off of his truck without getting paid, so he's owed money. Where should that money come from? Now, since every repair I do is kind of in a DIY fashion, even though I bring in professionals to help me, like you're going to see here, work on the quarter panel in just a moment, I went and I made a few calls, got a few estimates, and then factored what the materials would cost me. And I basically sent all that information over to the salvage auction. They took a look at it and they agreed to reimburse me a little bit over $1,000. Now, the original bid price on this car was $2,500. I got in the low teens, let's say. This car ended up costing me a little bit over $1,000 plus a few $100 shipped. And for a 12-cylinder Phaeton, that is a 2-owner car, relatively low mileage, is an outstanding deal. I wish I paid the full $2,500 final bid price and I didn't have to deal with the quarter panel smash, because when you have a smash in the quarter panel, there's a lot of work and a lot of painting, which requires a lot of paint materials, which is costly. So the amount of money they reimburse me is just going to cover this in a DIY fashion. If I took this to a shop, I think I'd be quoted a few $1,000s. So I called up my friend Nathan. He is a paintless dent removal professional. Had him come over, and obviously we have paint damage here, but I figured if we were gonna restore this car and get the panel in as best shape as possible, who better to do it than a PDR guy? Now, he didn't just take our dent out, he refinished this panel like they would at a professional body shop, all done at the farm, and it turned out incredible. Here, let me show you what happened. Nathan is disassembling all the trim in here right now so that we can get to the back of where this dent is, and then he could start his work pulling this out. What's it being held on by? There's something in it, actually. Oh, there's a wiring harness that runs through it. Hold on. And right there is access to our dent from the inside. Wow, Nathan. The fact that you're able to get this as flat as you did, great job, man. So now Nathan's gonna take the drum sander here and we're gonna just take all of this paint all the way down so we can get it ready for fill. what's the trick to pouring this without dropping it everywhere?
There is kind of a trick if you put 2-inch tape right here.
Okay, here, let's try that. Let's see. Wow, wow, wow. That is brilliant. Oh my, look at the can. You could still read. You could still read the Eastwood logo on the can. The first time I used this is just dripping down the side. All right, learn something new every day. Thank you very much, Nathan. Now, all that work you saw done on the Phaeton, that was actually months ago. When the quarter panel repairs were all finished, then I realized, well, this car needs paint. It needs some reassembly in the trunk area. It needs all the front end components purchased and repaired. But specifically, it needs a suspension worked on, and air suspensions on old Bentleys, Volkswagen Phaetons, and Audis can be a pain. Well, I just went and worked on some of my more interesting projects and parked this. But my brother, when he would come over, would always talk about it. It was clear he liked this car. I told him how much I paid for it, and he bought it from me right then and there. And I was thrilled to sell it to him because it's one less project for me. And he's really made a lot of progress on it. If you notice, the suspension is actually sitting where it should, and it was actually quite a simple fix. So when he jacked the car up in the air, on the passenger side here, there was an air line that was split. The car would then air up, but overnight, the front end would fall again. That's because one of the air shocks had failed. It had a tiny pinhole leak in it. Now, whether that pinhole leak was caused by the accident or not, I don't know, but I can tell you out of 3 cars I bought now with air suspensions, this, the E55 AMG, and also the Audi RS7, all 3 of them have had failed shocks. Well, 2 of the 3 I could confirm had failed air shocks because of the accident. This one, I'm not quite sure because he referenced it as a pinhole leak. Now here's the pair that were pulled out of the car. You could see they're actually OEM Volkswagen Audi parts, which is awesome. Again, this car was meticulously maintained at the dealer, and these air shocks don't even look that old. Well, this one, well, maybe it's just because it's in the dirt. This one looks a little bit older. That one almost looks brand new, but he replaced the pair. He said that the hole was so tiny you had to submerge it in water to actually see bubbles coming out of it. So now that the air suspension's been rectified, there's very little left that needs to be done. Now there still is a little bit of damage here on the hood. Again, since this is so original and in such good shape, I'd personally kind of just sand this area down and blend it in the rest of it. Since it is a base black, no metallic, you could potentially get away with it if you use the appropriate color match paint. And again, blend somewhere around like right there. As for the quarter panel, he's already been asking me if I would take it, if I would call my friend Zach and get this done. And well, I want to hear from you guys. Do you want to see the Phaeton finished? Because at this point, like I said, once he plug and plays that entire front bumper, it's really just a matter of taping all this off. We have to paint basically the side of the car minus the door. So you have to do the lower area here, this pillar all the way up and over, and then it would blend everything really well. And again, this is a base black, no metallic, so this car will look fantastic when it's finished. Now, every article I've read or any video I've seen that highlights the cool and unique features about the Phaeton always focuses on these trunk hinges, which are a beautiful aluminum construction. They even match the shock here to the hinge, and they're very expensive parts. So when this was crushed in, I was kind of concerned for this side hinge, but you could see everything is really nice and straight. It didn't push in any of the quarter here where the hinge bolts into, so everything is straight. They do move up and down, but this is an auto open and closing trunk, and unfortunately I do think the damage in the quarter panel here compromised the motor. These are just hinges, but compromise the motor. And I don't know if these are a hydraulic system or an electronic system. I believe they're hydraulic, but as you see here, this works when it wants to. So we'll press the button. You could hear something electronic moving in there. I had a similar issue on my Audi RS7 that was rear-ended. And even though my rear end damage was down low and the shocks, motors were up high, just the inertia itself from the impact is enough to kill a motor. I really want to show you how immaculately kept this car was. Keep in mind, this car sat at a salvage auction for some months. I've had it. It's never been vacuumed out, but just check out the leather seats. There's not a single rip or tear. A few little dirty spots, but nothing that won't just clean right up. It even has the foot wedges down here on both sides. I mean, nothing was removed. All original. The interior color, in my opinion, is the best color, like this parchment color. And the door panels, I mean, the materials, the real wood, the leather everywhere. This was a real deal luxury car. And then one of the other things you got on the 12-cylinder, to remind you it was a 12-cylinder, was this embossed part right here. By the way, check out these cup holders. These still work. A lot of times you'll see these stuck, but basically you take your drink and you push it down in there. I don't know, what do you do? Oh yeah, you press that right there. That's how you get them to retract back up. Just so it's one smooth center piece. No major cracks in any of the wood trim. And I gotta show you how these air vents work when you turn the car on. And one thing I've noticed just while moving this car around, okay, it's sitting outside in the Florida sun. It is hot right now, really hot. But something about this car that the second you turn it on, still has the old school key in the ignition, no push button. Oh, there we go. Just check that out. How unnecessary, but cool is that? The air is freezing cold right off of a start. I've never felt that in any other car. I don't know what it is, but it works so well. Here's the mileage, 99,870, so right under 100,000. If you guys want to check out the Phaeton when it's all put together and finished, go ahead, follow me on Instagram right here, where I post all my project cars before anything hits the channel. And if you really want to see another video where we do the paint on the side and the assembly of the front end, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. Like I said, this car really isn't mine anymore. I'm not super motivated to finish it. You guys, I know, are going to think of this as another unfinished project. This was just one of those cars that was too tempting and too hard to pass up at the salvage auction. The more you dive into it, the more you read about how much of a maintenance queen it is. Makes it easy to pass it along to your brother. Now, it sounds like I just dropped a burden on his lap, but the truth is he is a Volkswagen enthusiast, so he will enjoy this car much more than I will. He'll only be in it when it's all done, about $4,000 to $5,000, which again, this is a ton of car for the money. It is an outstanding value as long as you have the ability to do some of the work yourself, because if you take this to the dealership, the parts and the service can start to get very expensive. I've seen V8 versions of the Phaeton sell at the salvage auction for literally hundreds of dollars. In some cases, these are cars that have little bumper damage here or there, because if you take this car in to a really high-end collision shop, which the real owners, the enthusiast owners do, the repair bills are outstanding. So they get totaled on a whim. They don't sell for anything, but the parts are pretty plentiful for them, and you can find parts cars again. You could buy one at the salvage auction for hundreds. You could buy a second one for hundreds, mash them together, and there's a real case to be made here for the Phaeton. So if you guys enjoy learning about the salvage side of the budget Bentley, be sure to hit that like button. I gotta give a huge thanks to each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.